We're talking about the fact that the whole of creation is in one man. As we learn in the perception of reality, that what I see outside of me is all in all a replica, a projection. I see it as through inversion. I see all that is happening inside of me, meaning all these 7 billion people, the still, vegetative and animate. All that I see, the stars, the entire universe, everything that appears before me is revealed according to my own inner properties that are revealed. And as much as we, through the correction of our vision, of our sight, meaning that I want to connect all that I see outside of myself into me, that it is as if an inseparable part of me, by that I correct my perception, my vision, so that I start to truly identify that all of those things are in me. By that I enrich myself. I enrich myself. That I constantly correct myself within, and then I see all of those things that even though they're on the outside, physically in my vision, however I feel that indeed they belong to me more and more, and that way, to the extent that I start relating to them as to myself, to that extent I start to come out of my own boundaries, and I start feeling the next degrees, which are already spiritual degrees, because you are in order to bestow, as if when I do it towards the whole world. And in those next degrees, it's the same. Each time I ascribe them to myself, they are the achab of the upper one. I cling to it. I connect it to myself, to my Galgalta and Enaim. Later on, I climb. When it is mine already, I climb on it and move on to the Galgalta and Enaim of the upper one, and they become my Galgalta and Enaim, and from that to the achab of the upper. This time, every time, this is how we do it. That is, our entire development is by each time being in the perception of the outside world as being my world. And it turns out that man is a small world. Small because that's how he feels himself, that he's a small part of the world, but later on he starts as if to ascribe, it's not quite to swallow up. Swallow up may sound a bit egoistic, but to associate this whole surrounding environment to himself, and this way he attains the spiritual world, his true world. Therefore, what it says here, both in the scroll of Esther, also about all those wicked and the righteous, Haman, Mordechai, Hashverosh, Esther, the 10 sons of Haman, Vashti, Zeresh, and more and more, all of that, all of those are my qualities. They're just my qualities. And I have to find them and gradually put them together into and connect them to the one who is establishing them, that director, the upper force who is creating this confusion in me, so that specifically against that confusion I'll be able to concentrate all of those actors, all those people, and in general the whole world, and relate them specifically to him. And in such a way, when I forcefully focus my line of sight and constantly, regardless of all the confusion, somebody jumps at me, Haman, good comes my way, bad comes my way, these problems, these disruptions. If I focus all of that on the Creator, then in the end I correct them by connecting them to me, and this way I reach the end of correction, where other than him, well, there is none else but him. This is actually what we learn from the scroll.